Coop, mate, what are you doing? I'm having a little dance, isn't it? Mate, there's a full-blown robot apocalypse going on outside. You dressed as Jesus. It's okay, mate, just keep your exoskeleton on, mate. We'll be with you in 2 minutes. So the Surge 2 is here. I've been playing it a lot, 4 or 5 days worth actually. Bit late this review because I enjoyed it quite a lot. I put the first one on actually to see, you know, how good it was.
Oh, it's just as bad as I remembered.
Surge 1 was actually free, wasn't it, for a month, so it gave me a chance to try it out. I love Souls-like, so I was really interested to look at it. It wasn't that bad, but it really didn't stand out. This game's got online, offline options. We're going to look at them in a bit more detail in a second, but let's go to the quality adjustments on the PlayStation Pro, and of course standard stuff here. You've got the 2 options there. You've got the performance, and you've got the quality, visual quality, high resolution, etc. I'm sticking this on performance. I heard stuff about this game having some little bit of some jank going on, especially on the PC side, but so far so good. We'll also look at that in a bit more detail in a second, but let's just get our teeth into this game. Let's just look at the combat. That's what it's selling itself on. It's very, very much like a Dark Souls game in that respect, with the almost identical controls, a parry system. Everything's pretty awesome in that direction. So one of the things that I liked about the changes on the combat mechanics is the addition of being able to block and then press a direction corresponding to where that weapon's coming in from. Do you know what I mean? You see this stuff on For Honor. It's not a new idea, and it's certainly not as complicated as that mechanic, but it's very cool to have like a circle around you where a dude can actually do an uppercut. That would mean you'd have to step back. Sometimes they'll go left and then right and above, and you'll end up doing combinations of blocks in different directions. It all sounds very complicated, and it's not something that you actually have to implement if you don't want to. This is actually a perk. It's a slot-in thing on my suit that allows that to come up on my HUD. Really cool, that idea. Nier does that as well. So yeah, this guy kind of taught me how to do that. This is the first boss, and I love the sound addition on the music with this fight. Very, very cool. You also have a dodge on X, and you also have a stamina meter, which runs out pretty damn quick. Now, one of the other additions is the amazing drones. You would have seen that that guy had a drone. You actually get his, and from there on in you have drones. They slot in, slot out. They all look different. They all sound different. It's a very, very cool special move to bring out in a fight. It kind of can take care of singular enemies, and you have ammunition for it that's pretty rare actually, but you can purchase it. It's great. You whack triangle, that thing comes out. If they're not wearing a helmet, they're done for. You know, it's going to rip them to pieces. On the subject of ripping people to pieces, this game is extremely violent. It's actually got so many warnings on the front. It's got 3 red stickers on it, 18 plus, all that sort of thing. It is quite gratuitous, but what I'm doing in combat, what I wanted to explain, was I'm actually selecting a body part. So once you've clicked in your analog stick, a la Dark Souls, you actually can then move your other right directional stick and select a part of the dude that you're going to fight, and you will see that one of those selections was blue. That meant he didn't have armor on it, which means that I will then go for that piece if I want to hurt him badly. But the crux of this game is that if you see a piece of armor you want, like his helmet, then you just go and cut his head off, but it will be fortified. It will be a fortified section, but there'll be bits where this woman's got this new weapon and I'm like,
I want the fucking arm.
next thing you know, ta-da, you've got your new weapon. So it's pretty cool, and you can also switch that weapon out on the flight. You don't need to return to the proverbial bonfire to do that. But that rule doesn't exist with the armors. They have schematics, and you need to actually gather material. You can see some blue stuff there just behind this guy. So that's very interesting, that you've got scattered around loot and you pluck it straight off your enemies. Now this guy's got the weapons that are on the front cover that every YouTuber seems to have managed to get, and I'm like, I'm getting them. So I'm working on his right hand arm there, left, right arm.
Whoa, for Christ's sake, what's the matter with you?
And you can see that the little shield is going down. I'm making, you know, progress with this, but you kill him accidentally and you don't get that square prompt coming up. You don't get that weapon off them. And that guy was a special placed weapon guy. He was obviously there for me to pluck that off him, and I buggered it all up and didn't get it. I was absolutely devastated about that. So there's no co-op multiplayer as far as I know, but there is the cool leave messages around mechanic that we saw in Bloodborne, Neo, and all the other Souls games. It's a great idea, it points you to secret loot, sometimes they troll you. But it's nice to know that other people are doing this, other people are going through this game with you, and you get to see silhouettes and banners of other people. Now, I want to talk about these implants. These implants are really interesting. You start with a slot of 4, and you can basically put in these perks, and you have a power meter on your suit, and you can't exceed that. You can see it's 17 out of 20 there at the bottom of the screen, this blue circle. So you're constantly jostling in, adding up numbers, trying to work out the most efficient and best perks to have when you're playing the game that suits your playstyle. And one of the interesting things is getting health, or using the Estus equivalent, is actually the circle button. This can be injected, or this can be slowly gathered from the blue bars that you get from attacking people. So there's that Bloodborne aspect there, where aggression gives you health. Very interesting. And of course, we get to look at the leveling up system, which is very simple actually. You just get to spend these nodes on these 3 areas: health, stamina, and of course those blue bars, meters that you saw at the bottom there. There's a hell of a lot of loot here. There's a hell of a lot of upgradable materials to be put onto the loot here. Every new enemy breeds different ideas about different things to wear and different combinations of weapons to put on. Some weapons are absolutely massive and huge and take a long time to swing. Other weapons are very quick and snappy and ninja-like. So you get to be able to jostle those ideas with some of those module perks, and the next thing you know, you've come up with a badass build.
Hit the road, scumbag.
Okay.
I've kind of gravitated towards the quicker weapons. And it's really cool to come up against an enemy who's also got the same weapon. So it's very much so far so good with the Surge 2. It's got a brilliant combat system, it's doing enough to separate it from other Souls-likes out there, and it's also implemented a really cool aspect with guns and other enemies having them. A bit like Batman Arkham, it's really changed things up with the game. Dodging around and dealing with crowds feels really natural, really awesome. It wasn't something that the Surge 1 could boast. This combat system with these additional mechanics and added enemy types really does make the game shine. And it's brilliant to be a big hulking great, you know, crazy half cyborg robot man. You know, when you roll, I want to hear that sound like being a barrel of steel being kicked down the stairs, not the squeak of pleather. Let's talk about side quests and mission structure. The game doesn't have a very user-friendly interface. Now that's a normal Souls trait, and I think what's happened with previous titles in that vein is that they've forgotten that you're not supposed to hold the hand of the person playing the game, and this one adheres to that rule incredibly, and it does have those lovely shortcut additions to the map where you go through hell, you turn a corner, all of a sudden there it is, there's your bonfire, you're absolutely over the moon with it. But one of the things I wanted to push on was that there's no mini-map whatsoever. There is a map screen, but it's not accessible during gameplay. So everything has to be done by memory. The whole map goes around on itself. It's very, very well done. Very good job. And I'm really impressed with the versatility of the different locations.
Copy that.
Graphically, this game is not going to set itself apart from anything out there currently at the moment. It's no God of War by any stretch of the imagination. But the developers have taken the opportunity to give us more variety than the previous game. I do love the industrial setting. I love the contrast on the light. So this is something I was thinking, have I got my TV on the wrong? It kind of looks like it's very bright in places and very dark in others. I think that's an intentional art style, but it's a foreboding world. It's decrepit and it's interesting, and there's a hell of a lot going on here. So let's talk about one of the first hubs you get to, one of the areas where you first get to really trade, first get to really meet some meaningful non-player characters. So far the story's a little bit away from you, it's not really giving you a full idea about what's going on, but that is normal with these types of games. I am loving what it has shown me, and I'm loving some of the backstories on the individuals that are in this hub itself. This guy's a trader, he gives you additional armor sets and can give you, you know, sell you materials, etc. And there's also a really cool vending machine guy guys, top tip here is send your audio logs to this vending machine. He will give you like 5,000 tech scrap if you've got 10 audio logs. What a great idea, being able to hand them in to some weird fruit machine thing.
You have reached reward tier 1.
I'll have my revenge. Just you wait. You goddamn bastards.
Story-wise, I'm not too invested, not too fussed about it. I came here for the combat. I think I'm probably the Souls light equivalent to Vasquez.
I only need to know one thing. Where they are.
Like, I don't know what they're saying, but I can tell that that's a language.
Bastards.
This game is as good, if not better, than The Remnant from the Ashes. And that's a big one, because I thought that was going to be our best Souls-like for the year. By the way, it's got the strangest jumping mechanic. You have to press X to run, then you have to click in an analog stick to jump. You jump like some maddened frog. It feels so unnatural, especially in that suit. It's kind of really a minor complaint, but for me, it's basically almost a perfect sequel to its predecessor. It's improved on every single level, and it is really deserving a place in the top 3 Souls-like games that are out there at the moment. Nia's up there with them, obviously, and I'll probably be putting a list together of all of the tributes. Sekiro won't be in there. People have been putting lists of Souls-likes together and putting Sekiro in. You can't have a Souls-like that's made by From Software. That's one of my rules for the list, so give me some suggestions for it. I always like to close off my reviews with some footage that kind of personifies or highlights some of the cool stuff that I'm talking about with this game, and it was very difficult for me to find that, but I selected this one. It kind of straddles the range stuff, it kind of shows you how interesting the enemies are, and I really want you to pay attention on what this guy's got going on that I'm fighting. He's got a weapon that I don't actually have, so I want it. I need to cut off his arm. He actually goes into an enrage mode.
Come back here and take what's coming to you!
And then, of course, his weapon itself starts to transform, and his whole attack pattern changes for me. I'm working on his shoulder to try and dismember him. The risk is high. There's acid all around us.
Whoa.
It's so much tension and pressure. It's amazing. It's brilliant. The game is solid as hell. I recommend you all go down there and have a look at it. As always, old Coop's going to see you down there. Take care. Have good weekends. More content on the way.